Ready.
Enter, rejoice, and log in. Enter, rejoice, and log in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and log in. Enter, rejoice, and log in. Enter, rejoice, and log in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and log in.
If you have a chalice at home or a candle, it would be great if you would have that now, and we'll light it together. We light this flame as a symbol of new life, enlightening our way, as a symbol of the warmth in every human heart. Let the lighting of this flame rekindle in us the inner light of hope, of peace, of love. May we share that light with all people.
Good morning. I am Marie Luna, your Director of Congregational Life. Thank you for welcoming us into your home today. It is good to be together, even in this online format. If you are joining us from another Unitarian Universalist congregation, welcome. If this is your first time visiting this fellowship, I want to extend you a special welcome. I hope you will join me for a newcomer breakout after this service. More information on that later. Or please send me an email so we can set up a time to help you get connected. I hope you'll reach out. Today's service is being led and supported by Allie Peters, our intern minister, Reverend Christina Leon Tracy, our senior minister, Reverend Leah Angiri, our associate minister, Leah Thibodeau, our lay worship leader, Kim Hartman, our director of religious education, Steve Seek, our music director, our wonderful musicians and singers, which today include the fellowship choir, David Powling, Mary Ellen Vixta, and Ian Moore, and of course, Adam Robinson, our AV tech. Thank you to everyone who has made this morning's service possible. This year, we are focusing on growing resilience. We're digging in to what it means to grow ourselves and our community to be sources of life, even when things get tough. Right now, we're in the weeks of our creativity theme. Thank you for joining us as we practice being a community of creativity, thinking outside the box and bringing beauty into our world. It is now time to settle into your space, wherever you are, to take a deep breath and be present to this time together, even from afar.
May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be one. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be one. May we be peaceful and at ease. May we be one.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Time for All Ages. Today, we are so lucky to have a very special guest with us. I want to introduce everyone to my dear, dear, dear friend, Kelly.
Hi, everyone.
Kelly is a music and band teacher in New York City, and she's heard all about the fun we have together here at the fellowship. So today, I invited her to join us and be a part of the fun.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be here.
So Kelly, would you like to take a guess at what's inside our wonder box? We take time to wonder every week because we know that wondering is an important skill. No matter how old we are, we always have things to learn and to discover. And I think that's one of the best parts of being a Unitarian Universalist. We don't always have to know everything, and we can change our minds as we grow and find out new information.
I love that.
Me too. I hope all of our friends joining us on their devices will take some time to wonder what might be in the box today. You can feel free to type your guesses into the chat box, or you can ask your grown-up to type it for you. I really love reading everything that people guess each week. And now, Kelly, I want to ask you, what do you think might be in the wonder box today?
I don't know. Maybe it's chocolate?
Oh, I hope it's chocolate.
Me too. Or maybe a puzzle?
That would be fun.
Yeah. Or maybe a puppy?
Oh my goodness, now you're getting my hopes up. I love those guesses. Do you think we should open the box and find out?
Definitely.
Okay, drum roll, please. What in the world? Kelly, I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on here. This is really embarrassing. I mean, you're a music teacher, but today in our box, all we have is noise. I was hoping we might actually have some real music, something like maybe Mozart or the Hamilton soundtrack, or maybe K-pop.
Hallie, music is so much more than Mozart, Hamilton, or K-pop. You can make anything into music.
Oh, well, yeah, sure. Maybe you can. You're a band teacher. You have a degree in music. You're like our music director here at the fellowship, Steve. I mean, everything he does sounds good. I'm not a musician.
I disagree. I think we're all musicians. Some of us play, practice, and learn more about music so that we can do more with it. But that doesn't mean that you or anyone else can't create music. Actually, your body is making some music right now.
What do you mean?
Well, hold your hand over your heart. Do you feel your heartbeat?
Yeah, I do.
That's a rhythm. And you can build on that rhythm and change it up a bit. Maybe add some clapping or snapping or stomping your feet, like this.
I like that.
Yeah, now you try.
Oh, me? No, Kelly, I don't know. I don't have the best rhythm or coordination. I'm probably going to mess up.
Just try your best. If it doesn't sound the way that you want it to at first, keep trying. I feel like I mess up all the time when I'm teaching or playing music, but that's how we learn. And if we let our fear of making mistakes keep us from trying stuff, then how will we ever have any fun?
That's a good point. Okay, I'm going to try. Let me find my heartbeat. Oh, I like that.
Yeah, and if you find something that you like, you can practice it more and more to get really good at it. Making music gets easier and easier the more you do it.
That's awesome. I think I'm going to try and remember that this week, and I hope everyone watching will too. Remember that we can create music anytime, anywhere, and we don't have to be professional musicians like Kelly or Steve to do it. And you know what I'm also going to try and remember? I'm going to remember that mistakes are learning, like you said. And we don't need to let our fear of mistakes keep us from trying something.
Exactly.
Huh. Hey, Kelly, what do you say we try and make some music out of that noise that's in our Wonder Box? I mean, it's hard for us all to make music together over Zoom from all of our different computers, but I think we could still have lots of fun making our own music from wherever we are.
I think that's a great idea.
Awesome. I hope everyone watching on their devices will join us. If you picked up one of those creativity kits from the fellowship, now is a great time to use one of those hand instruments that came in the kit to play along in your own way. Or you can just feel free to clap or stomp or snap or drum on your body or maybe use your voice. There's so many ways to make music, and we're each going to be doing it differently, which is really cool. Okay, what do you think? Here we go. Ready?
Since what we choose is what we are, and what we love we yet will be. The goal may ever lead us on, the will to reach it makes us free. thanks and praise.
Whether you believe him or not, my dad will happily tell you that musical talent runs in the family. And I would say that it starts with him. Dad has always enjoyed singing, playing piano, and all sorts of interesting instruments, including a couple of nose whistles. One Christmas, my siblings and I all received homemade humstrums. Yes, my dad finds joy in making all kinds of blessed noise. I called him up the other day to ask him about his appreciation for music. Uncharacteristically, he enthusiastically engaged in the conversation. His love of music, he said, began with his mom. And for a moment, this took my breath away. I had a unique and strong connection with my paternal grandmother. I remember her fondly in so many ways, but not as a musician. So my dad's story was fascinating to me. He said that his mom was a talented singer. At church, he would melt into the comfort of his mother's song. She would sing quite often at home, too, and they had a piano. Grandma could play anything she wanted, but he said she couldn't read a single sheet of music. She had this unique ability to just pick up songs by ear. With the will to play them, she sat down, plunked around, and just worked it out. My dad learned how to tinker with music by watching his mom. She modeled the art of expression without concern for perfection. I have myself created courageously. My work with compassion is my greatest example. In 2017, a few months after my mom passed away, I decided that I would commit myself to the cultivation of compassion in my community. I began looking for the established figures who could greenlight my proposals and shepherd me through the process. But no one would help me. Finally, I had arranged to get coffee with someone who I felt was my last possible option. Leah, I wish you had caught me 3 months earlier, he said. I love your proposals, but I'm not able to help you at this time. My heart dropped into my stomach. We wrapped up our conversation with pleasantries, and we went our separate ways. As I pushed open the door to leave that coffee shop, I heard a voice within say, "You don't need anyone's permission." I finally understood. I had wanted to jam with the professionals, but clearly this was going to need to be a solo act. I started tinkering, and 4 months later, I was presenting my first workshops. There was no sheet music for this. I literally was playing by ear. I knew I wouldn't get it right the first time, but I decided to focus on expression without concern for perfection. This would become my blessed noise. What noise does the world need you to make?
Thank you so much, Leah, for your insights and your thoughtful reflection. And also, what a joy it was to have Kelly as a special guest during our Time for All Ages earlier in the service. Like I mentioned before, Kelly is a high school band teacher band and music teacher who works in New York City, specifically in the Bronx. And I know that you'll all agree with me when I say teachers deserve our deepest admiration and gratitude, especially with all that they've had to go through during this past year. And teaching music during the pandemic, well, that's something that I have particularly had a hard time wrapping my head around. Kelly has shared with me some of her struggles teaching band and music in a fully remote high school setting. From trying to schedule private lessons for every single student over Zoom, to traveling to a student's house when their instrument breaks and fixing it for them outside on their sidewalk, to spending hours upon hours splicing together individual videos of students playing the same song, all so that they can hear themselves playing together in a final product. Much like we see Steve so lovingly do with our fellowship choir. Add on top of that, the fact that all of Kelly's students have varying levels of experience playing their instruments and varying levels of investment in band class. And many students, like their teachers, have been feeling completely overwhelmed and burnt out. You can imagine that giving grades for a remote band class is just an impossible task. And I've been really impressed with Kelly's approach. She shared with me that she bases a lot of her grading these days on whether students are just showing her that they're picking up their instrument and playing it, making some kind of noise on it, not letting the instrument gather dust in the corner. They could be playing scales, it could be a song, it could be whatever. Just show me you are playing, she tells them. That is what's important. Just show me you are playing. That is what is important. Her words remind me of the video that we saw earlier in the service from music educator and 5-time Grammy winner, Victor Wooten. We heard him say that learning music should mean that we're playing more than we're practicing, just like how we learn a language. Play now, and the practice will come. The most important part is picking up an instrument and making some blessed noise, to borrow Leah's words from her reflection. But there is something about music that can just feel so intimidating to many of us who are not learned musicians or music educators. Those of us who may have internalized a notion that we just don't have a gift for music. And I think that intimidation has a lot to do with this piece about making noise. You see, making noise, well, that implies that we think we have something to say. Hey, listen to me, I'm here. I'm showing up to do this thing and I've got something to offer. That kind of declaration can be terrifying. When I was in high school, I played the tuba. I was the only tuba player in the whole school. And when you're the only tuba player, you get pulled into everything. I was in band. I was also asked to play with the school orchestra, with the jazz band, with the brass ensemble, and the pit crew for the school musical. You see, every ensemble needs a tuba. You need that bass in order to hold things together. So when my assistant band director invited me to compete at the local Teen Arts Festival with a select group of brass players, well, I assumed that I wasn't chosen because she thought I was any good. I assumed I was chosen because they just needed a tuba. And so we get to the competition, and I was so nervous. Our ensemble was pretty small, and the pieces we played had a lot of tuba, so there was no way that I was going to be able to hide my sound like I sometimes did in band. I was so worried that I was going to mess up, like play a wrong note, lose my place, or even just not get a good sound out of my instrument. I was worried that I would embarrass myself, ruin things for my ensemble. I was worried that people would ask, why is she here? How did she get chosen for this? I remember standing backstage with my group. We were wearing our black on black concert attire, waiting for our turn to play. And now our assistant band director, she knew me very well. She knew that I was nervous. She knew I didn't think I was supposed to be there. She knew that I didn't have very much confidence in my musical abilities. She saw me peeking around the curtain at the group of judges, 4 judges. I was looking at them with such fear and intimidation. Don't worry, she said. You'll be fine. None of the judges are even tuba players. They're not going to notice if you make a mistake. Well, her words were a little bit comforting, but I just kept staring at those judges, especially one of them. Okay, but who's that guy there on the right? I asked. He looks so familiar. And she smoothly replied, oh, him? I think he plays percussion. I'm not sure. After that, we went on stage. And honestly, I don't remember much about the actual performance, which probably means it went well. We didn't win the competition, but I don't think we were very disappointed with our scores. What I do remember is that later in the day, my assistant band director confessed to me that she had told a lie. That judge that I recognized had been Dorian Perriott Sr., and he was not a percussionist. The reason he looked familiar to me was because he was the father of my tuba teacher, and he himself was a tuba legend. He had traveled all over the world playing tuba with jazz groups, pit orchestras, and recording artists. She had lied to me because she knew playing in front of someone of such caliber would make me feel even more intimidated. She didn't want my nerves to psych me out when she was confident that I could play better than I thought I could. And then she told me that she'd been right. It can be so scary to put ourselves out there like that, especially with people who we are certain would do the thing that we are doing way better than we can. But what if we all tried on Victor Wooten's philosophy of music education? And what if we tried it on not just for music, but for our lives. 1, play more than practice. Just do it and enjoy it. 2, allow ourselves to make mistakes. 3, give ourselves opportunities to jam with the professionals. I'll add that I also love the addition that Leah made during her reflection. Don't fear a solo when it's called for. To me, all of this sounds like a helpful guideline for learning how to show up. And if you follow Brené Brown, the popular shame and vulnerability researcher, you know that she names showing up as the first step to courage. Courage, she says, starts with showing up and letting ourselves be seen. Making music while also holding the vulnerability of knowing that you might not be a maestro, that builds courage. The same goes for any time we show up to do anything when we don't consider ourselves an expert. It builds courage. A courage that helps us show up again and again and again. And our faith is one that calls us into courage, isn't it? Right now at the fellowship, we are in the middle of a Saturday morning series called Liberation Circles. It's a series where we are exploring anti-racism and decolonization. The series was born from a partnership with professional anti-racism educator and decolonization coach, Anjali Nath Upadhyay. Anjali and I met for months before our series started in order to create and build it together, specifically for our fellowship. I was able to bring my knowledge of Unitarian Universalism and of our fellowship community, and she was able to bring her expertise on decolonization and racial justice. At one point during our Zoom planning meetings, she looked at me and she said, "You know, Allie, I would really like you to take a big lead in facilitating these sessions when the time comes." I heard that and I froze. All of a sudden, I felt like I was back on stage holding my tuba. Who was I to facilitate an anti-racism workshop? I take classes like that, not facilitate them. Who was I to show up and try to make this kind of noise, especially when there was a professional right there, a professional anti-racism educator who I was sure would do a way better job. But my co-facilitator, Anjali, she shares a lot in common with Victor Wooten and his music education philosophy, especially this view about jamming with the professionals, that it is a great way for us to learn and to grow. She expressed to me that as someone who is so deeply invested in anti-racism and dismantling white supremacy and decolonization, she cares much more about nurturing others into this work rather than hearing her own voice do it herself. Just like music educators who care more about getting their students to love making music rather than having the notes played perfectly. Play now, and you'll want to practice later. We can show up and use our voices now, And then we can learn how to grow and use them in more effective and helpful ways as we go. We don't have to show up fully formed. Now, I stand by the belief that humility is vital. Humility is a moral necessity. And I think I've always told myself that this impulse I have to step back and ask, well, who am I to do this? Whether I was holding a tuba or facilitating a class on anti-racism, I think I've always told myself that that impulse came from a place of humility. And some of it might, but calling it humility has also worked to mask a lot of fear. Oh, no, you couldn't possibly want me playing tuba in your ensemble. That was my way of saying, I'm afraid. Oh, no, you couldn't possibly want me facilitating this important class. That was my way of saying, I'm afraid. Oh, no, I wouldn't have anything of value to contribute to that committee. I'm afraid. Oh, no. As a white person, your group wouldn't want me involved in your activism. You all would do it so much better than I could ever. I'm afraid. It can be so hard to discern when our impulse to step back comes from humility and when it comes from fear. But our Unitarian Universalist faith requires us to do this discerning. Our faith and the big vision of love that we hold for the world requires us to carry both courage and humility, to use our voice and to hold a microphone to the voices of others, to be willing to make mistakes and to use those mistakes as learning, to show up and to be okay with being turned away when our presence in a space might be counterproductive, to lead and to let ourselves be led by those with more experience, to make some blessed noise and to do some sacred listening. I don't know about you, but I'm excited to see where this combination of courage and humility can continue to take us. May it be so, and amen.
Escape to inner space.
Sharing our individual joys and concerns helps us collectively to grow resilience, a creative endeavor, if ever there was one. One of the ways that we co-create this community and even this morning's service is by taking the risk to share about our personal lives. We can do that right this moment by typing into the chat box any personal news you might wish to share with our community so that we can hold space with you as we worship. If you would like to talk directly to me or to another minister or to someone from our care team, please let me know, and I would be happy to connect you. You can still always submit joys and concerns on our website or by emailing me or any other member of our staff team, and we will include this in our weekly email. Let us breathe into this shared silence and then join in our sung response.
And we believe in life and in the strength of love, and we have found a need to be together. We have our hearts to give, we have our thoughts to receive, and we believe that sharing is an
This month, we're focusing on creativity, which means creation. And here at the fellowship, we often think about what it means to co-create in community. Not each of us alone, but what we can make when we each cooperate to make something that's bigger than ourselves. And so now, as we take part in our morning offering, please consider what the spirit of creation and generosity is calling you to do. How might you help to create the what that you wish to see in the world? Just because our offerings are virtual, they're no less real, and we need your support. We know that there are always those among us who need help. We're there to help. It's why we exist as a fellowship, to be here for you when you need us. Please don't hesitate to reach out to Reverend Christina, Reverend Leah, or to Allie if you're in need of financial or emotional support so that they can offer help. We also want to honor those among us who have been left relatively unscathed by the crises of recent months and who have resources to offer. We, like many organizations in our community, were hit financially by the pandemic, and so we want to encourage you to continue to give or begin to do so if you never have, so that our ministries might be able to continue and to flourish for the months and the years to come. As you hear these words from Mike and Julie, think about why you are part of the fellowship and why you give. And then, please do. Thank you.
Greetings from Neenah, Wisconsin. Welcome to our home. I'm Julie Putman, and this is my spouse, Mike Yonkers. I joined the Fox Valley Unitarian Universalist Fellowship in 1992. It became for me a place to find myself, my true self, and for that I'm very grateful.
I joined the fellowship in 1997 when I moved to the Fox Valley for a new job. I met Julie at the fellowship in 1999 thanks to Jennifer McGuire. And as they say, the rest is history. We were married by Roger Birchhausen in 2000. Shortly after that, we relocated to the Milwaukee area for new jobs. When we both were retired last year, we sold our house and moved back to the Fox Valley. We had two primary motivations in returning: to be closer to our new grandson in Appleton and to reconnect with the fellowship. COVID-19, of course, intervened and we found ourselves back in the area, but unable to physically attend services at the fellowship building. Nevertheless, we formally rejoined the fellowship.
Like all of you, we have missed being physically together in our beautiful building. We have, however, found that faithfully attending our Zoom Sunday services and getting involved with other fellowship activities in the same way has allowed us to reconnect with the fellowship. I like to think of our COVID Zoom experiences with the fellowship as a great illustration of how a home differs from a house. A house is a structure. A home is all about being with and enjoying the company of the people we love and care about. We have loved being at home with the fellowship family virtually via Zoom. We miss the house, but it will still be there when the COVID crisis is behind us, and how sweet it will be to have the fellowship family gathered there physically under one roof.
And we are learning a lot from our Zoom experiences. Our Zoom programming has shown us new ways in which we will be able to continue to be together with fellowship members who are unable to join us at our building even after the COVID crisis. We are privileged to financially support our fellowship home as we virtually gather faithfully during COVID times, and we urge you to do the same. Our financial support keeps the family going and helps to ensure that the home will be there when it is time to gather again in person.
Thanks for joining us.
As we come to the end of our service, we will extinguish our chalice flame, even as we still hold its light in our hearts. Please join me in our unison words. As we extinguish our flame, let us go our way with hope in our hearts, with our spirits renewed, and with a deeper understanding of life's mystery. Let us carry the light of compassion and commitment to build a better world. After our closing words, we will be having small breakout groups for conversation. In a moment, we will hear a short postlude song, and if you do not want to participate in any small group conversation, then please use that time to log off and leave this Zoom meeting. If you choose to stay, you will be invited to choose your own breakout group on Zoom. One option will be for newcomers to join our Director of Congregational Life, Marie Luna, in a special newcomer group. Another group will focus on the worship service topic. It will be led by Allie, and it will be about music. Another worship topic conversation will be led by our lay worship leader, Leah Thibodeau, and it will be about courage and showing up. Another group, new this month, will be led by a care team member if you are interested in sharing more personally and deeply. And finally, there will be one group for unmoderated, informal chit-chat. You will see an option to choose your breakout room. You might need to click the box with the 4 squares to choose, or you might need to click the 3 dots that says More. Choose which group you would like to attend by hovering over your choice, and the word Join should pop up. Click that. If none of this works, don't worry. We will do our best to move you to the group of your choice, so just hang tight and stay here. Please be patient because we're all new to this and some bugs might still need to be worked out. And with that, go in resilience, growing in strength. Go in creativity, in beauty, and innovation. Go in peace. knowing that we embrace each other, even now, from a distance.